Greetings to all the students. Welcome to biology and chemistry lessons. We are again here with a new chemistry class, the structure of atom, and this is also a very basic topic in our chemistry class 6, 7, 8, 9 O-level students. For all of them, this chapter is important. So first of all, in this chapter, the things which we are going to cover are element, atoms, molecules, and structure of an atom. So let's see what is an element. Elements are the substances which are made up of only one kind of atoms. They are naturally occurring substances, most of them, but some are man-made. So you can see what are the different elements we find around us. You can see that this is a piece of iron. There are many iron objects in our home: iron gates, iron grills, keys, locks. They are all made up of iron, and iron is an element. In a piece of iron, all the elements are exactly same. Everything, their atomic mass, their atomic number, their number of electrons, shells, everything is same. That's why we are calling it an element. Then we have got silver and gold. Silver and gold are used in jewelries. So it means in the jewelries we are wearing elements. Copper. Copper is used in electric wires. Copper is used in copper coins. So this is also an element. It is made up of all same kind of atoms. Oxygen, the air we inhale, the air we breathe in. From that air, oxygen goes to our blood. So it means we are taking an element in our blood. Hydrogen, it is also an element in our atmosphere. Chlorine is also a poisonous element. So all of them are elements. So what are elements? Elements are those substances which are made up of all similar, one kind of atoms. So all the atoms are exactly photocopy or carbon copy of each other. Then only you can say that these substances are elements. Otherwise, if a single particle is there which does not match with the other particles, then you cannot call it an element. Then it might be a mixture or a compound. There are two types of the elements, metals and non-metals. So whatever the elements have been discovered so far or made by men, they are all kept in a table. You can see this table is called a periodic table. So when we will do the chapter of periodic table, we will see everything in detail. But for today, we will see these small boxes you can see over here. So what are these small boxes? Each small box is a home of one element, and that home cannot be changed. That place cannot be changed. Like this place is for hydrogen and it is never going to be changed. Hydrogen will always remain here. For example, this is a place for, let's say, phosphorus, and it will always be here. It is not going to change. So all the elements which have been discovered so far, we have placed them in the particular order, which we will see in the chapter of periodic table. So this is just to show you that what are the different elements we have. So whatever the things around us, whether they are living things or they are non-living things, everything are made up of atoms. These elements, all these elements are made up of one kind of atoms. So whatever the things around us, living things, non-living things, including us, plants, animals, non-living things, whatever the non-living things around you, the pen in your hand, the device in your hand, everything is made up of atoms. So atoms are the tiniest particles of which everything is made up of. Now, what is a molecule? During the chemical reaction, atoms combine together. You can see here in the picture, hydrogen and oxygen combine together. All right, so hydrogen, actually, this is not a single atom. This is H2, a molecule of hydrogen, and this is O2, the molecule of oxygen. So what this H2 is actually made up of? Two hydrogen atoms combined together, chemically combined together. What is this O2 made up of? Two oxygen atoms chemically combined together. So when all of them, hydrogen and oxygen atoms combine together, they form a group of atom which is called a molecule, and that is H2O. So what are molecules? During the chemical reactions, atoms combine together chemically. They react with each other chemically, and they form group of atoms which is called a molecule. So this molecule H2O is made from the atoms of hydrogen and oxygen. Hydrogen is a gas, oxygen is a gas, but water is a liquid. So this is something about chemical reactions. When the chemical reactions are taking place, an entirely new thing comes into existence, which does not possess any of the properties of the substances which are reacting with each other. Like hydrogen and oxygen are reacting with each other, but we will not find any property of hydrogen and oxygen in water. Water is a substance which has unique properties of itself. This is how the chemical reactions are taking place. The two substances, the different atoms combine together and they form entirely a new thing with new properties. So this is called a molecule. Now we will see the structure of atom. What is an atom? The tiny particle of which everything is made up of. You can see right in the middle of an atom, this part which is right in the middle of an atom, this part is called a nucleus. All right. So nucleus is the centrally located rounded structure in the midst of an atom. Nucleus itself is made up of tiny particles which are called protons and neutrons. So protons and neutrons. Protons are the particles, for example, let's say the red color ones are the protons. So how can we differentiate protons and neutrons? All the protons have got positive charge over them. All the protons have got positive charge over them, so they are positively charged particles, whereas the neutrons do not have any charge over them. They are neutral particles. So the nucleus, which is right in the middle, a rounded structure which is made up of two different types of the particles, protons and neutrons. Protons have a positive charge over them, +1 charge each proton has, and no charge over the neutrons. So what does it mean? What should be the charge of the nucleus? Then the charge of the nucleus should be positive, because neutrons do not have any charge. So the charge of the protons is actually the charge of the nucleus. So how many protons we can see over here? We can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It means the charge of this nucleus is +6. So nucleus is a positively charged body. Then you can see all around the nucleus, these are these ring-like structures. So they are called shells or energy levels, and actually they do not exist. We draw them. They are imaginary. Why do we draw them? To show that these tiniest particles, which are called electrons, they revolve in a fixed circular path around the nucleus. So we draw this imaginary path to show the path of the electron on which they revolve. Electrons are so tiny that their mass is negligible as compared to the mass of the protons and neutrons, and they have a negative charge over them. So all the electrons are the tiniest particles, negligible mass, and they have a negative charge over them. So again, what is an atom? A very tiny particle of which everything is made up of. It consists of a centrally located body, which is called nucleus. Nucleus is made up of two types of the particles, protons and neutrons. Each proton has a +1 charge. Neutrons do not have any charge. So the nucleus as a whole is a positively charged body. Around the nucleus, there are circular paths, imaginary circular paths, which are called shells. And in the shells, there are tiny, very tiny, having a negligible mass particles called electrons revolve around the nucleus, and each electron has a -1 charge. Now see that this is the structure of an atom, and electrons, protons, and neutrons are called subatomic particles. What are subatomic particles? Atom itself is a small particle. So the particles inside the atom are called subatomic particles. So as a whole, an atom is a neutral particle. An atom does not have any charge of its own, though an atom is made up of positively charged protons, negatively charged electrons, but it does not have its charge of its own. An atom is a neutral particle. The reason is that always in an atom, the number of electrons are equal to the number of protons. It means in an atom, if there are 6 protons, there must be 6 electrons. Each proton has a +1 charge, so 6 protons will have a +6 charge. Each electron has a -1 charge, so 6 electrons will have a -6 charge. So +6 and -6 becomes equal to 0. So it means an atom is made up of positively charged particles and negatively charged particles, but itself, it is a neutral particle. It does not have any charge of its own. So an atom is a neutral particle. So what will be the reason for this fact? An atom is a neutral particle because it has equal number of electrons and protons, and equal number of positive and negatively charged particles cancel each other's effect. So the total charge is 0. We can compare an atom to some extent with our solar system. You can see right in the middle of the solar system, there is a sun. So right in the middle of an atom is the nucleus. All right. Around the sun, there are imaginary circular paths. They do not exist. They are called orbits or shells. Similarly, an atom has got shells, imaginary circular paths around the around the nucleus. On these shells, there are planets revolving. So inside the atom, on the shells, the electrons are revolving. So to some extent, we can say that an atom, the structure of an atom, to some extent is similar to the structure of our solar system. Now we will see what are the position, charges, and masses of the subatomic particles. As I told you that the relative mass of a proton is 1, neutron is 1, charge of proton is +1, charge of neutron is 0. And what will be the position? The position will be, this one is existing. Protons are located in the shells. So we can write over here, they are located in the, sorry, not shells, nucleus. Neutrons are located also inside the nucleus, and electrons are located in the shells. The mass of proton is 1, the mass of neutron is 1, the charge of proton is +1, the charge of neutron, no charge of 0, the charge of electron is -1. Now see the mass of electron. What is the meaning of 1 by 1860? 1 by 1860 means negligible, or you can say 0. You can say 0. Electrons do not have any charge. Why we are saying this thing? The charge of proton and neutron is 1. For example, 1 proton. If I divide this proton into 1860, which is not possible, but if we imagine that we break the proton into 1860 pieces, then one tiny piece is the mass of the electron. So atom itself is invisible. The subatomic particles are also invisible, and protons and neutrons, if you cannot, but if you think that if we cut them into 1860 pieces, then one small piece will be the mass of the electron, which is not possible. So we say that 1 by 1860 or negligible or simply 0. There is no mass. Can we see an atom? No, no one could see an atom. This is the picture which you can see. This is an actually X-rays are passed through a crystal of sodium chloride salt, and then we have magnified this picture 500 million times. And we have just seen these blur patches. It means even by high magnification, you cannot see an atom. So an atom is invisible, but it is the building block of every living and non-living thing. That's all for today. I hope you have understood this topic. That's all. See you in the next class. Bye-bye.